For decades, the American passport was a golden ticket. No lines, no questions, no bureaucratic red tape. You could wake up in New York, book a last-minute flight to Paris, and be sipping wine by sunset, no visa, no hassle. But in 2025, that freedom is evaporating fast. In a dramatic reversal of post-WWE norms, countries around the world are now slamming the door shooter, at least installing a digital security checkpoint on U.S. travelers. The American passport is no longer a universal key. It's become a permission slip subject to scrutiny, suspicion, and delays. From the bureaucratic nightmare of Iran's 20-day processing time to the €7 EDIAS fee that effectively kills spontaneous Euro trips, these new visa rules are more than just paperwork, they're political. And the big question is, why now? Is this global payback for years of American exceptionalism? Or are rising security fears and shifting power balances rewriting the rules of global mobility? You're about to find out, but what comes next will shock you. Number 10, Nigeria. Once a rising partner for U.S. Africa business ventures, Nigeria has recently added serious digital muscle to its entry requirements. For American travelers, a Nigerian visa was always mandatory, but in 2023, the government quietly rolled out biometric screening as a non-negotiable part of the process. This means fingerprints, facial scans, and a digital verification system now stand between you and entry. The price? Around $160 for the visa, but the real cost is in time. A 25% increase in processing delays now stretches the waiting period up to 3 weeks, and that's if your application is flawless. Why the crackdown? Nigeria is facing internal security pressures and regional instability. With terrorism, fraud, and cybercrime on the rise, their justification is simple. If you want to visit, you need to prove you're not a threat. But is this really about security or a subtle retaliation for years of uneven U.S. foreign policy in West Africa? For American tourists, entrepreneurs, and expats, Nigeria just got harder to access. And it's not alone. The visa domino effect is real and accelerating. Number 9, Iran. If you thought traveling to Iran was tough before, 2025 just made it nearly impossible. U.S. citizens already needed special clearance and couldn't travel independently, but now the average processing time has ballooned to 20 days. That's nearly triple the time it took in 2022. Applicants now face in-person interviews, exhaustive background checks, and the looming threat of rejection due to strained diplomatic ties. The visa fee remains relatively stable, but the political cost? Sky high. The U.S. And Iran don't even have formal embassies. Most travelers must go through third-party intermediaries in neutral countries just to apply. This isn't just bureaucratic friction, it's a geopolitical message. Iran is making it crystal clear Americans are not welcome without proving, step by step, that they pose no risk. In 2024, visa rejection rates for U.S. citizens spiked by 17%, according to leaked consular data. Is Iran trying to deter Western tourism altogether? Is this part of a larger East versus West power play? Either way, spontaneous travel to the Persian Gulf just got nuked. Number 8, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia shocked the world in 2019 when it opened its doors to mass tourism. Flashy marketing campaigns, Formula One races, and cultural festivals suggested a new era. But by 2025, the gloss is wearing off and U.S. travelers are feeling the heat. Tourist visa fees have surged by 20% since 2023, now averaging around $140. More concerning, the approval rate for Americans has dropped 10% in the last 12 months. Despite applying through digital portals, many travelers face mysterious rejections with no clear explanation. Riyadh's unspoken message is loud and clear. We're open, but only to those who align with our new geopolitical agenda. Saudi Arabia is rapidly pivoting toward China, Russia, and the BRICS bloc, and its travel policies are shifting accordingly. The West is no longer the favored guest. What does this mean for Americans? A trip to the Desert Kingdom now comes with a political cost, and you're no longer guaranteed entry no matter how much you're willing to pay. Number 7, Vietnam. Vietnam has long required Americans to obtain visas, but until recently, the process was quick, easy, and online. In 2025, it still is, sort of. The application portal is sleek, the forms are simple, but behind the scenes, background checks have quietly intensified. Increased US-China tensions have pushed Vietnam into a delicate geopolitical dance. While Hanoi remains open to American tourists, it's also quietly vetting them harder than ever before. Recent reports indicate a 12% uptick in secondary document requests and a noticeable rise in unexplained denials. The cost remains low around 25 USD, but the hoops are multiplying. Business travelers, in particular, are facing new scrutiny. If your profession relates to tech, defense, or journalism, expect questions, lots of them. Why the sudden shift? Some experts believe Vietnam is hedging its bets between Washington and Beijing. Others see it as a symptom of a rising nationalism wave. Either way, for Americans, Vietnam may look friendly, but it's watching your digital footprint very closely. Number 6. Russia. Traveling to Russia as an American has always involved red tape, but in 2025, it's more like a geopolitical minefield. Since the invasion of Ukraine and subsequent sanctions, Moscow has retaliated with a subtler weapon: visa pressure. Average processing time has surged to 15 days, and interviews now often include pointed political questions. Some US travelers have even been asked to provide detailed travel histories or social media profiles during the application process. The visa fee remains steep, about 160 USD, and that's just the beginning. Americans are being denied at higher rates, particularly if they have prior travel to Ukraine, NATO nations, or are involved in media. It's not just bureaucracy, it's blacklisting. In effect, Russia is turning visa applications into ideological litmus tests. Are you neutral? Friendly? Suspicious? Welcome to Cold War II, now with biometric scans and consular interrogations. Number 5. Brazil. In a move that stunned many, Brazil reinstated visa requirements for U.S. citizens in April 2025, reversing a 2019 decision that had granted Americans visa-free access. The message? Brazil is no longer interested in one-sided diplomacy. Now, U.S. tourists must apply in advance, pay a $160 fee, and wait up to 15 business days for approval. The sudden policy change caught thousands off guard, especially snowbirds and digital nomads flocking to Rio and Sao Paulo during the winter season. Several were even turned away at the airport, unaware the policy had flipped. What triggered this? Brazilian officials cited reciprocity. The U.S. still requires visas from many Latin American countries, and President Lula's administration decided enough was enough. But the deeper truth is more strategic. Brazil is aligning closer with BRICS allies and sending a clear signal that it's done playing by Washington's rules. Tourism to Brazil from the U.S. is expected to drop by 18% this year alone, and for the first time in decades, the cultural bridge between South America and North America is beginning to show cracks. Number 4. India. India's long-standing visa requirement for U.S. citizens has always been wrapped in red tape, but now it's wrapped in AI surveillance and political vetting. The Indian e-visa system used to be a shining example of efficiency. Not anymore. In 2024, India introduced mandatory biometric reconfirmation for all U.S. travelers, even those with previously approved multiple entry visas. As of May 2025, over 38% of American visa applicants are being flagged for secondary screening, especially those with Pakistani heritage or affiliations with NGOs, journalists, or activists. Why the crackdown? Rising U.S. criticism of India's domestic politics, especially its treatment of minorities and its controversial internet censorship, has triggered a chilling diplomatic backlash. India's Ministry of External Affairs has gone silent on the topic, but internal leaks confirm a watch list of American citizens who are to be scrutinized more heavily. Cost-wise, it's still around $25 to $80, depending on visa type, but the real price is in unpredictability. Today, Even tech CEOs and Ivy League professors are being denied entry without explanation, and it's not random, it's systemic. Number 3. China. The Chinese government technically reopened tourism in early 2024, but Americans are finding out the hard way that open borders don't mean open arms. As of 2025, American tourists must navigate an intense vetting process that makes TSA security look like a handshake. The visa fee is steep, around 140 USD, but what's worse is the surveillance, US. Applicants are now required to disclose social media handles, employment details, and travel history from the past 5 years. The Chinese consulates in San Francisco, Houston, and New York have even begun asking political questions during interviews. Travel bloggers, journalists, and tech professionals are facing the most pushback. And even those who get approved often report being followed, questioned, or electronically monitored while in China. This isn't tourism, it's geopolitical theater. China's motive? Leverage. The US has tightened visa restrictions for Chinese nationals in tech and academia. Beijing is responding in kind, and tourists are caught in the crossfire. American travel to China is down 48% from 2019 levels, and that number's only dropping. Number 2. The Schengen Zone, Europe. The most dramatic shift in 2025 doesn't come from a single country, but from an entire continent. Starting January 2025, the European Union officially implemented ETIAS, European Travel Information and Authorization System, for US citizens. It's not technically a visa, but it functions like one. Americans must apply in advance, pay €7, submit biometric data, and wait for approval to enter 30 European countries, including France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. The process is automated, but in reality, it's far from frictionless. ETIAS rejections have already reached 6.3%, mainly due to prior travel to restricted areas or data mismatches. And worst of all, approvals can take up to 30 days in complex cases. So much for that spontaneous Paris weekend. The EU claims it's about harmonizing border security, but critics argue it's a bureaucratic backlash against years of visa-free US privilege. After all, Europeans still need to apply for US visas in many cases. This is the long-awaited tit-for-tat. Travel freedom in the West is now officially conditional, and the golden age of just hopping a plane to Europe is over. Number 1, Turkey. Turkey was once one of the most convenient global destinations for Americans. Fly into Istanbul, get a visa on arrival, and you're in. No hassle, no paperwork, no delay. That policy is dead. In 2025, Turkey ended its e-visa on arrival option for US travelers, citing national security concerns and a need to align with regional partners like Russia and Iran. Americans must now apply well in advance, face potential interview requests, and provide proof of accommodation and return flights. The cost? A steep 51 USD, upfront. But the biggest change? Discretionary denial. Turkish consulates now have unilateral authority to deny entry without cause, and there are whispers of a blacklist quietly expanding behind closed doors. This sudden reversal is more than just logistics, it's ideological. Turkey is realigning its foreign policy away from NATO-centric partnerships and toward Eurasian multipolarity. And the travel policy shift? It's a symbol of who's in and who's being left out. American tourists, once seen as welcome spenders, are now viewed as liabilities. In 2025, even sunbathing in Antalya now comes with political baggage. Let's be brutally honest. The golden era of American travel privilege is officially over. The American passport, once the most powerful in the world, is now stamped with caution, caveats, and conditions. Visas are no longer a third world inconvenience, they are the new global norm for US citizens. Why is this happening? It's not just bureaucracy, it's backlash, decades of US. Unilateralism, interventionism, and immigration double standards are now being paid back one visa application at a time. Nations are demanding reciprocity. Some are flexing muscle, others are simply fed up. In 2025, travel isn't just about where you want to go. It's about who you are, where you've been, and whether your passport carries more risk than privilege. So the next time you book a flight, ask yourself, are we still welcome? Or is America becoming a travel pariah on the world stage? Because the question isn't, can Americans travel freely anymore? The real question is, do other countries still want us there at all?